Hi, everybody. Hi, guys. Come on in. Come on in. Hi, everybody. Please let us know where you're from in the chat, because as you know it, when we all vote, we're all about building community. I am Stephanie Young, the executive director of this incredible initiative, and we are so excited for the work that we're about to do with you. For those of you who might be joining us for the very first time, we are When We All Vote, a nonpartisan nonprofit initiative launched by former First Lady Michelle Obama. Trust me, she says hello and thank you for everything that you're doing. And our whole mission is to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in every election by closing the race and the age voting gap. And guess what? We can't do any of this work without you. You are the glue, the heart, the nucleus of this organization. And guys, we are literally 10 weeks away from Election Day. Be scared. I'm scared. I cannot believe how close it is. But welcome to the Ramp Up the Vote rally, because it's time to ramp it up. I know a lot of people are on vacation. Please wipe the sand out of your eyes, get the sand out of your toes. It's time to get back to work. You might have a little bit of a break for Labor Day, but it's time to get ready to work hard so that we're making sure that everybody is registered and ready to vote in this midterm election, because we have a lot at stake. But before we dig into everything for tonight, we have some amazing special guests. Before we get into it, let's celebrate what we've already accomplished. If we could roll our tape, that would be amazing to get us started.
It's going to take all of us working together to bring about change. All right, if you're ready to change the world, clap 2 times.
Mrs. Obama.
That's me. We are here at our Democracy Summit.
That's right. When We All Vote's first ever Culture of Democracy Summit.
All we want to do is support the work in which we've been doing year after year after year in building this community, because we have to protect and save our democracy.
Democracy first. Then the other things get to follow.
We realize that we can truly get the message that we want to get across.
We are at our community hike for When We All Vote. It is amazing. I'm excited to facilitate this experience. We are kicking off the Culture of Democracy Summit this morning.
I am so thankful for things like whenweallvote.org.
We're here together today to change the culture around voting and increase participation in each and every election.
If we embrace our obligations to our democracy and to our children, all those things that we tell ourselves about our country, that every voice counts and every vote matters, well, if we all do our part, those won't just be things we say, they'll be things we see.
Organize, mobilize, show up, pull up, and vote.
We can create a better future for all of us.
Head to whenweallvote.org to get started.
Yay. Okay, look, I was doing the dance, the Migos dance, the stir fry dance. I'm sure some of you know that. So again, if you're just joining us, I'm Stephanie Young, the executive director of When We All Vote. Please drop in the chat where you are from. We are all about building community. We're so excited that you're here tonight. That was a clip of the first ever Culture of Democracy Summit that took place in Los Angeles, California. I'm sure many of you were invited if you're on our list, so you got that invitation to come, and hopefully that's not the last time that we are doing that. We brought so many amazing people together to talk about how do we protect, expand, and save this democracy, because it is on the ballot. But the first way we are going to do that is making sure that we are registering voters in our communities to get them ready to vote. So I'm super proud of our team. You know, we accomplished that summit under a really short time frame with Mrs. Obama. We have all the content online, so please check it out. But I want to talk a little bit about, before we get into our agenda, what I'm really proud about. So we have an amazing 309 chapter leaders, people from Tacoma, Washington, all the way to Miami, Florida, and beyond. That means these are volunteers. I'm sure we have some chapter leaders on the line today, so make sure you shout yourself out. because you're doing God's work by being a chapter leader, which means you're digging in and you are volunteering at a high level to ensure that your community is registered and ready to vote. We appreciate you. We've also recruited nearly 3,000 poll workers. We'll hear some from our friends from the organization that we partnered with. 3,000, almost 3,000. We want to get there. So if you have time and you haven't volunteered to do that, go ahead and send it to others. And we have over 200 schools engaged in our My School Votes program. So we're making progress. And we could not have been making this progress without you. But again, we got a lot more work to do. So what are we facing? Let's briefly talk about the midterms. So we have about 435 members of Congress. It's 435 members of Congress that are on the ballot. 35 out of 100 senators are also on the ballot, and countless of elected officials and state government officials. In fact, 99% of elections are at the state and local level. Only about 1% it's the federal level. So we know how incredibly important this election is, and we have to make sure that people in our lives and those are part of our voting squads understand that as well. And I mentioned this earlier, democracy is on the ballot because countless of offices that help to lead and determine the way in which we do elections in this country, those people are on the ballot, just like secretaries of state in states all around this country. So what does that mean? That means that they have the power to certify an election. And what's the next election we're coming up after the midterms? Well, there's other local elections before the midterms in 2024, but it's another presidential election. And we know how important it is to have people who are representing these positions like secretaries of state who actually believe in democracy. And that this is where you come in. So I want to just talk to you really briefly about your role here. If we can pull up our pie chart slide, I just want to show you guys where you are in the schematic. Okay, well, let's go through the agenda first, and then we'll go there. So first, we're going to hear from some amazing folks who represent When We All Vote as ambassadors and organizers, helping to lead us forward. So we'll have some special guests that we'll go through shortly. We're going to talk about our My School Votes program so that you understand if you're a parent, if you're a high schooler, how you fit into all of this, because you can do this voter registration work too. We also have tons of volunteer opportunities, and those volunteer opportunities are going to actually include hosting your own voter registration events during our week of action. That is what we're here to talk about, how you can register voters by hosting your own events between now and literally leading up into our week of action, taking a lot of action. And we're also going to make sure that you're trained, and so you feel confident and prepared to do this within your communities. If we could go to the next slide. All right, so this is what I was getting at, because I think it's so important to understand where we are in this moment. We're at the Ramp Up the Vote rally. Welcome to those of you who just joined. And what's next? We are here so that we're able to get prepared. We're able to get trained so that we can leapfrog over to take action during our week of action, which takes place around National Voter Registration Day. So we're talking about September 18th through the 24th. We're going to need you to take action. We're trying to have 100 events around this country. You're going to do that, and we're going to support you in doing that. And then we're going to, ramp up getting ready to vote early, because voting early is much better than voting on election day. And we're going to have celebratory events at polling places. You're going to help us host events all around this country. And then what's after that? Early voting and election day. So let's get focused on what we're here for today. That is getting prepared for a week of action and celebration of National Voter Registration Day and getting trained and ready to go. But before we kind of get into the training and all those things I mentioned, we have some amazing special guests. One being one of our awesome co-chairs. Her name is Megan Rapinoe. Maybe you know her. She is a phenomenal soccer player. And we are going to hear from her first. And then we're going to hear from a good friend named Jay Ellis. He is an ambassador for When We All Vote, and an amazing woman who is leading an incredible organization, Wiley, and our friend Marta from Power to the Polls. So with that, if we can hear from our good friend Megan, and then we'll get to Jay after that.
Hey everyone, I just want to say thank you so much for the intro. I'm so glad to drop in tonight, and thank you everybody here for joining us. This is amazing. As many of you know, more Americans voted in the 2020 election than any other presidential election in 20 years. That's incredible. And even though this is not a presidential election this year, the stakes literally could not be higher. I think we know that. Voter turnout historically drops during the midterm elections, and we are counting on you all to help every single voter that we possibly can understand the power of their voice and their vote. Every issue we're facing right now when it comes to our planet, our healthcare, human rights, starts at the ballot box. We all know that. And to have our, combined activism in the streets with our votes to create real change, that's exactly what we need.
Got it.
Voting is our opportunity to hold the elected officials accountable, for us to voice our concerns and for us to stand up for our families, for each other, and for ourselves. So it's time to ramp up the vote. LFG, y'all, let's go. Thank you so much again for everything that you've already done and what you're planning to do to get our communities registered. This is an incredible time. Let's keep that energy, get everybody ready to vote. I can't wait to see all the work that's getting done. Thank you all again, and back to the When We All Vote team.
Thank you, Megan. Megan is an amazing co-chair who joins Mrs. Obama in this work. And we have another amazing friend who is joining us. You may know him. I don't know. You may have heard of him. His name is Jay Ellis. He is an actor, a philanthropist, and an entrepreneur. You might have just seen him in Top Gun Maverick or my favorite, Insecure. Yes, it is Lawrence, who sometimes we love and sometimes we hate. No, we love Lawrence. We do. And we are so grateful that Jay is here. I know he's from South Carolina, which is one of our focus states. So if you are from South Carolina, let us know in the chat. And with that, Jay, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, South Kakalak in the house. And thank you for the introduction. Listen, and I want to also give a big thank you to everyone who's joining us tonight. I'm honored to be here on behalf of former First Lady and When We All Vote founder Michelle Obama. Stephanie said this earlier, but the midterm elections are just 75 days away. It's crazy to believe that it's come up so fast. So, we got a lot of work to do together, and I am rooting for all of y'all, every single one of you, because our democracy is important, and making sure we're registered and ready to vote is the first step we can all take to ensure we're protecting our rights and making sure our values are represented and fought for by the people who we elect. It's crazy, Stephanie. I didn't know, she said this earlier, but 99% of the elections are held at the state and local level, not federal. So voting in the midterms is insanely important, incredibly important, from House members and senators up for election this year to the judges who play key roles in voting rights, reproductive rights, and so much more. There's also state legislators who write election laws and draw congressional maps, and even secretaries of state who then manage elections in our states and determine our access to early voting by mail, and the certification of election results. There is a lot at stake. This is huge. Every election is big, but this is obviously a big one. And as Stephanie said, democracy, is on the ballot right now. So listen up. Today, you're going to hear from the When We All Vote team on how you can take action to organize and register voters for our week of action in September. Remember, you are the best voice to influence people in your life to register and vote. You are leaders of your community, and we need you now more than ever before. So let's get to work. Know that Mrs. Obama and I and every single person who you're going to hear from today are here with you every single step of the way. And we're rooting for y'all. So thanks again. It was a pleasure to be here. And I'll pass it back to you, Steph.
Thank you, Jay. We so appreciate you taking time out to spend with us this evening. And we will keep you posted as to how many people are going to sign up tonight to host their very own events to register voters all around this country. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, so we're going to keep the program rolling. We have even more incredible people joining us to hopefully give you as much inspiration as you need to know that you can take action with us, and we're going to make it fun and we're going to make it easy. The next wonderful speaker that we have is a partner and a friend to When We All Vote. She is an incredible person. It is Maya Wiley, but let me tell you a little bit about who Maya is. She is a nationally respected civil rights attorney and activist, and she has dedicated her life, to fighting for justice, equality, and fairness. That is no small task. we all should be applauding Maya and thanking her for all the work that she is doing and has done. Right now, she is the head of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights and the Leadership Conference Education Fund. And they are great partners to When We All Vote, helping to lead on a multitude of issues, especially voting rights. And with that, I would love to welcome When We All Vote's very good friend, Maya Wiley, to the stage.
Stephanie, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Look, I can't play soccer like Megan Rapinoe, but I know how to kick it with some amazing leaders. Stephanie is one. When We All Vote is one. And I can't act, so unlike Jay Ellis. But I can do something that John Lewis, the former, our congressman, who was also a critically important civil rights leader, who fought for racial justice, fought for voting rights, died not that long ago. But what he said is about action. He said democracy is an act. And what he meant by that was many, many different things. But it does come down to what you've already heard. It comes down to us, because you've already heard this, and I know you know it because you're here. But it is important to be reminded, and it is important to remind others. What is on the ballot is fundamentally whether we get to say who leads us and what we want them to lead on. And that means our bodies are on the ballot. And that's why in Kansas, we saw a massive increase in people registering to vote, because Kansas, people elected to state office in Kansas, were trying to take away the constitutional protection to the right to abortion there. But 70% of the people who registered to vote on that ballot initiative were women, because they recognize our bodies are on the ballot. And it's not just women whose bodies are on the ballot. It's about whether or not we can form families, how we can form them. It's whether we see people who are homeless getting mental health services or getting criminalized. We have some states passing laws to make homelessness a crime, despite not giving people who are homeless a home. I could go on, and I know I don't have to, but the point is, when John Lewis said democracy is an act, what he meant was everything we do as citizens matter, including how we use our voice to say what kind of solutions we need to solve the problems that we have in our own lives, in our families' lives, in our communities' lives. And in this cycle, in this election, it's not just the number of people who are up for election, but I really want to underscore Stephanie's point. It's about every time we go to that polling site, every time we mail in that absentee ballot, every time we go to a neighbor or a family member or a friend and say, you can do this too, and it matters. What we are doing is telling people who say they want to lead us that they can only do that if they do right by us. And the only way that works is because we show up. And that's what you're doing tonight. That's why you're here. That's what When We All Vote does. That's why the Leadership Conference for Civil and Human Rights fights for voting rights, but we also fight for fundamental rights. That's why we do it in partnership and collaboration. And that's why we're in it with you. We want Power to the Polls to be supported with people signing up to be poll workers. We want you to go to andstillivote.org so you can find out and make sure folks know how to register to vote, where to go to get help. But we're also here to say everything you do matters. We appreciate you. And Stephanie, for your stellar leadership. And back to you.
Thank you, Maya. And thank you so much for being here with us and taking time out of your busy schedule. We will be partnering with you from now until Election Day and beyond. So thank you so much. All right, so we're going to keep the conversation going. I know there's a lot happening in the chat right now. A lot of people were swooning over Jay Ellis. A lot of people were fangirling over Maya. Just keep all that energy coming. I'm in sunny California. I still want to know where you guys are from. What are you doing? How have you signed up already? And judging on the numbers that we have of folks on here, if everybody on here agreed to do a voter registration event, we could register thousands of voters, guys. literally. And we could recruit many more people to be poll workers. And all of that is important. That is why we partnered with our friends over at Power to the Polls and our good friend Marta Hansen, who is a national partnership director at Power to the Polls, or Power the Polls, a national nonpartisan initiative to ensure free, fair, safe, and accessible elections by recruiting the next generation of poll workers. My uncle is a poll worker and he's in his 70s, guys. So we need to like step it up, especially us millennials and the younger millennials and the Gen Zers. So we got to step up our game too. But we're here to hear, we're going to hear from Marta and all the work that they're doing. There's still time to sign up through our portal at When We All Vote to make sure that you are in line to potentially be a poll worker, and share that link. But now I'm going to turn over to you, Marta.
Stephanie, thank you so much. I am so thrilled to be here with all of you this evening and getting to talk about poll working as an important act of democracy, as Maya so beautifully put it. So specifically, I'm going to talk about why you should care about poll workers, why you should consider being a poll worker, and how you can help activate to address poll worker gaps in your community. So as you heard from Stephanie, Power the Polls is a national nonpartisan initiative to recruit the next generation of poll workers to ensure a free, fair, safe, and accessible election for every single person who shows up at the polls. It is our vision that voting should be a positive and empowering experience for every single person. When you show up at the polling place, that you've got people who look like you and speak your language, so you can have that be a celebratory and positive experience. Power the Polls was founded in 2020 amidst a big nationwide poll worker shortage, and we recruited over 700,000 potential poll workers in less than 100 days. We are back at it again in 2022, and we work closely with 5,000 election offices all across the country. You've been hearing about how elections happen at the local level. So we work with those election administrators to identify gaps and then work with partners and advocates like you all to actually mobilize people to fill those gaps. So why should you care about poll workers? Elections come down to poll workers. There is a direct link between poll workers and a functioning democracy, which I know we all want. Without polling places, people can't vote. Without everybody voting, democracy, as you know, does not function as it should. Think about long lines, polling places being closed at the last minute, and think about who this disproportionately impacts. Low-income communities, communities of color, rural communities. In an average general election in a presidential year, it takes about 1 million poll workers to make that election happen. So every single person that we recruit is one closer to that 1 million that we need. So why should you think about being a poll worker? It is, I would say, the most effective nonpartisan thing that you can do to support our democracy. It's really about focusing on the process rather than the outcome, and also ensuring that all of your amazing GOTV and voter registration efforts have a place to send people, right? Send them to the polling places and have those places be open. Poll workers are the ones who help their neighbors vote by getting there early, usually before the crack of dawn on election day, to set up all the voting machines, making sure the technology functions, including things like accessible voting machines, preventing long lines, being that warm, smiling face when people show up to cast their ballot, providing translation assistance, and really just making the experience of democracy a positive one. Being a poll worker is really about you and your neighbors at your local community center, school, place of worship, firehouse, wherever it is. And we are seeing needs. So the biggest trends that we're seeing so far this year from election administrators across the country is the need for multilingual poll workers who are tech savvy, who can help troubleshoot voting machines, and then also poll workers who have the flexibility to work early voting and keep those early voting places open. So my call to action for you all tonight is to, first of all, sign up to be a poll worker yourself in your own community. You can go to powerthepolls.org/whenweallvote to sign up, and then encourage a couple of folks that you know, friends, family, who were raring to go and excited to support democracy to serve their communities as well. Most poll workers are also paid on that day, which is a nice extra bonus. So thank you so much for having me and letting me share a bit about poll workers. And Stephanie, I will send it back to you.
Thank you, Marta. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for telling us all about what we actually can do if we sign up to become poll workers. Let's make sure that we're keeping that energy alive and passing it on to others. And we appreciate the partnership, Marta. So thank you so much. Now we're going to keep it going. I've been like taking little photos and videos and adding when we all vote on my social. I'd love for you guys to do the same. We'd like to see where you're taking this call from. Are you on the couch? Are you in the car? Are you at your kitchen table? Do you have an animal with you or a child? We'd love to see your beautiful face. So go ahead and snap a little selfie, show the screen and at when we all vote, and we'll make sure to repost you make sure you at when we all vote though, guys. And if you have a private account, do a hashtag, maybe that will work. You know, social media is tricky sometimes, but let's keep it moving. So we are going to get into the meat and the heart of all of our call to actions in pertaining to when we all vote, but who's going to do that? Our amazing staff. I'd love to introduce all of them to you briefly. So if you can have that slide up. All right. So the wonderful Andrew Amore. Amore means love. Such a lovely person who leads our My School Votes program. Also Amanda Hollowell, all the way down in Savannah, Georgia, who leads our organizing program, and Arisa Samani, who is also on the organizing team. We have some incredible folks who are dedicating their life right now to public service and ensuring that you feel prepared, registered, and ready to vote. And you're also ready to go out there and host events all around this country during the week of action. And guess what? You can already sign up. You can already sign up and say, I'm going to host events. So trust and believe we'll be telling Mrs. Obama how many people are going to sign up so that she's able to check in on our progress. So if you feel so compelled to do it now, please go ahead and do it. But before that, if you don't, you have way more to hear from. And we're going to start with Andrew talking about My School Votes and how those students around this country are going to help register voters going into the election season. Andrew, turning it to you.
All right, Steph, thank you so much. That's about as good of an intro as anybody can get. Hello, everybody. It's great to be with you tonight and to see everybody getting back into the swing of things after what I hope was a restful summer as we get ready to kick off another school year at My School Votes. I am the senior director of My School Votes, and we are a student-led, teacher-driven, extracurricular voter registration and civic engagement program. We work with teachers and students across the country to close the race and age gap in voting and to increase youth participation in each and every election. And we do this by activating My School Votes clubs across the country, providing schools with voter registration portals, and training through our Ramp Up the Vote training series, which we do throughout the school year, every year. So teachers and students that are joining us tonight, listen up. I'm talking to all of you. All right, we need your help this fall to meet our goal of 75 My School Votes voter registration events in September. All right, when you register your event, you will get a code for free t-shirts, posters, and laptop clings. And we have trainings to support you throughout the month, starting actually Wednesday, August 31st. All right, on these calls, we will give you everything that you need to make voter registration as simple as possible in your school. I promise you, you can do so much with this program. But please don't take it from me. I want you to hear from two of our best teachers and students that My School Votes has. So right now I'm going to yield my time to a member of our Educator Advisory Council and a social studies teacher from Minneapolis, Minnesota, Catherine Pearson. Catherine, please take it away.
Thank you, Andrew. Good evening. I am Catherine Pearson, a high school social studies teacher in Minneapolis. To the teachers with us tonight, I'm talking to you. This is a call to action. This is our moment to support students to be change makers this midterm election season. As a history teacher, I love working alongside my students as they become knowledgeable about social and political change over time, but I am most passionate about connecting my students to the world beyond the classroom. Feeling empowered to engage in the electoral process has been transformative for my students. And it has been our partnership with My School Votes that has led to the creation of civically minded leaders. So this is what I need you to know. Teachers, we've got this. I know we all have moments when we can feel stretched thin, but we can do this work. The Civics 101 curriculum is one of the most accessible tools out there for civic education. These lessons are clear on the best ways to organize a voter registration campaign in your school. I feel confident to use the curriculum because I know it has been developed with teachers and students. My School Votes has an active educator advisory council that co-creates the Civics 101 resources, and I am so grateful for the work that the MSV team has done to ensure teachers like me have access to an action-oriented curriculum. But tonight I am asking you to get involved and start a My School Votes club at your school, or just take the first step and begin voter registration this September. Starting a My School Votes club at your school means you are fostering a culture of voting among the next generation. We know that the earlier a student gets involved with voting, the more likely they are to continue this practice throughout their lifetime. So, teachers, think about all we can do when we harness the potential of our students. Empowering them to exercise their right to vote is an essential step in realizing their vision for a brighter future and creating a culture of voting that is sustained. So join me in taking action. When schools partner with My School Votes, we create habits of voting and civic participation. Though this work might begin in a single classroom, it will ripple out and impact all the students at your school. Please use the link in the chat box to sign up for our first Msv Community Call on Wednesday, August 31st, or go to weall.vote/MSV_ramp to sign up. This call will deliver all the simple details you need to get this work started. Now it is my sincere honor to introduce one of My School Votes student ambassadors and a senior at McCallie School, Cameron Hayes, to speak about the student experience with MSV.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Ms. Pearson, for that great introduction. Democracy and education have been bound together through time. Even though one might outpace the other, they only grow if people consistently put effort into both. And my story is evidence of that. In 1904, my great-grandfather Will Hayes was born. Grandpa Will, like many Black men of his time, was born to sharecroppers, and he lived a life as a sharecropper. Due to the society in which he lived, he was not able to have a complete formal education, but he had work ethic. This work ethic is one that he passed down to all of his children, including my grandfather. My grandfather tells me stories of how Grandpa Will would sit at the kitchen table and, as far as he knew, read the newspaper every day. Later in life, my grandfather found out that Grandpa Will, my great-grandfather, could not read. So why would my great-grandfather Will read the paper when he knew he couldn't read? He did that so all of his children understood that education and advancement were an important part of our family. Because of Grandpa Will's example, all of his children did just that. My grandfather graduated high school and went to Talladega College in the fall of 1963. At school, my grandfather met my grandmother, a woman who was raised by the same principles, and married her later in 1965. They married and had a family. In their family, they passed down the same advancement principle to my mom and her siblings. Whenever they traveled on vacation, they would either stop at a college campus or drive through one so that my mom and her siblings understood what was expected of them. My mom and all her siblings went to college, obtained professional degrees, and have been making positive marks on their communities in their own ways. Now we arrive at me and my generation. I was born in 2004, just 29 years shy of Grandpa Will's death. Now, 47 years after his passing, I, the great-grandson of a sharecropper, am receiving the type of education not accessible to the 18-year-olds of his time. The only reason I am where I am is because of Grandpa Will's toil and the expectations he set. I'm only here because of the transfer of the principles from my grandparents, my parents, my aunts and uncles down to me. The democracy that they live in and participate in ensures that it is possible for me to sit in the rooms I sit in today. That's why I'm involved and invested in my school votes. It is my job to participate and lead in this democracy so that the hazes that come after me and those like us can advance far beyond what I can ever hope for. I do this with my school votes. We know from research that a young person who engages in voting early on is more likely to continue throughout their lives. That's why I urge you to join this and bring this to your school so that every child who comes from the richest of rich to the poorest of poor are always able to climb higher mountains as they try to get home. I ask that you join us here again on Wednesday, August 31st at 7 p.m. for a call that will train you on how to establish a voter registration campaign in your school. Even if you think you aren't ready, you are. The MSV team will walk with you every step of the way to support you. So please use the link in the chat box to RSVP. Thank you once again for your time, and be sure to use the shoulders that you stand on to create change, big or small. Change for many or one, change loud or quiet for the community where you reside, because you have the power. Your history, no matter how dark or glorious it might be, proves it. You are resilient, strong, and powerful beyond measure. Now go make change and start an MSV club today. I'll see you next Wednesday, August 31st at 7 p.m. Now, I would like to turn it over to When We All Vote's organizing team, led by Senior National Organizing Director, Ms. Amanda Hollowell.
Thank you so much, Cameron. And I don't know how to follow that up because you are eloquent, you are motivating, and this has just really just set fire under me tonight. And I'm so excited to talk about this next section, which is getting involved. There are so many ways that you can get involved here at When We All Vote. And the backbone of our organization is our volunteers. And we thank you and we try to reward you, encourage you, and motivate you no matter what as you do this work with us. But the most important thing is there's so many opportunities. You can take this call tonight and plug right on into any kind of volunteering activities that speak to you. For instance, you can join our 300 chapter leaders across the country and become a chapter leader in your community. The more the merrier. We need as many people leading their communities to remind people to check and update their voter registration. I see in the chat that there's some folks from Spelman and Morehouse. Well, guess what? We now have an HBCU Vote Loud Squad Challenge program, and we're taking applications now. Please look at the link. It's weall.vote/vote loud. Go over there, fill out the information, and join that program. We're so excited to launch that program as well. And let's say you're not ready to lead. Let's say you're not at HBCU, and that's okay, because you are the leader in your community. You are the trusted voice for your friends, families, and neighbors. And what's the most important part right now is that you can ask 3 people, have they checked or updated their voter registration? And we call this tripling your impact. And it's a simple pledge that you can take to say, me, Amanda, I'm going to reach out to Aretha, I'm going to reach out to Cameron, I'm going to reach out to Stephanie, and make sure these people in my circle are ready to vote, right? And I think it's so important because people really don't realize how important it is just to be reminded. I need to be reminded about a lot of things. Voting is one of them. So let's make sure we're holding ourselves accountable and we're being a steward and a servant to our communities by pledging to make sure we are going to reach out to 3 of our family and friends and neighbors. And last but not least, let's talk about voter registration. Like, you need to check your voter registration, y'all. We get married, we move, we do a lot of things. Sometimes we don't even know if we're registered or we don't know where to register. So that's why it's so important in this moment that we are checking our voter registration. This is something that I want us to do right now. So there's going to be a link in the chat. If you see it, it's weall.vote/voter. Check or update your voter registration while you're on this call, right? Let's find out. Are we ballot ready? Do we have a plan to vote? And it starts with checking your voter registration. And in theme with that, because we love to give an educational moment, we are going to actually do a quick little voter registration training led by our lovely Arisa Samani, who's going to get right into how do you do voter registration with When We All Vote. It's unique, y'all. It's cute. You'll like it. Go ahead, Arisa.
All right. Thank you so much, Amanda. And y'all, I am so excited to be here tonight. You heard it from Catherine. You heard it from Cameron. You heard it from Jay Ellis, from Megan Rapinoe. Do you know how hard it is to get Jay Ellis, Megan Rapinoe, and me in the same room? But we do it because we love our democracy, and it is up to us to protect it. And that is why when we all vote, alongside our partners across the country, are organizing a national voter registration week of action from September 18th to 25th, and we need your help. Like Amanda said, we need you to join us in registering your neighbors to vote, because as we know, it is people like us that have the power. It is people like us that create change. So let's talk about how every single one of us is going to register voters this fall. To be part of this week of action, here is what you will do. Number one, you will lock in the logistics. Set a date and a time during the week of action where you will register voters. Remember to think about where the people are. Think about convening spaces in your community, and always develop a backup plan. Number two, you will sign up your voter registration activity with us at When We All Vote. Please sign that up at weall.vote/NVRW and include all of the event details for your voter registration activity. Whether you are registering voters at a farmer's market or a movie theater or a sports game, we have so many ways that we can engage with voters. And remember to include the date, include the time, include the description, and include if you're looking for attendees or volunteers. If you are one of our exceptional My School Votes chapters, this is also where you will include your school name and details. And number three, download the resources that we have provided for you. We have everything that you need free of charge from our website at weall.vote/vol resources. I'm talking flyers. I'm talking the QR code. I'm talking step-by-step instructions. Everything from how to set up a voter registration table to how to have that conversation. We have all of that for you. Please click that link. It's in the chat box. And that is what we are going to do. Let's talk a little briefly about what our resources include. Number one, our voter registration portal. When We All Vote has our very own voter registration portal where you can check or update your voter registration and get ready to vote. It is so important for every single one of you who is doing this work with us to use our tool at weall.vote/voter. And I want to really underline that because our tool is going to help you receive timely reminders about election dates and deadlines. If you start your registration using this tool and you don't finish it, our tool is going to remind you, hey, you need to register to vote. So please, please, please do that today. Register yourself to vote, register your community at weall.vote/voter. Let me show you what that portal looks like. It looks like this. It is so easy, y'all. It just takes a couple minutes to check your registration. It just takes a couple minutes to register to vote. And if you belong to a partner organization, please use your own unique partner portal that you can find at weall.vote/partnerindex. All right, folks, a few things to keep in mind as you are engaging with voters in your community. Number one, When We All Vote is nonpartisan. So please do not ask people about their political positions. Number two, use that online voter registration tool that we showed you. Remember, folks, reminders are critical when it comes to getting people to turn out to vote. And if you live in a state that only uses paper, make sure to follow the process in your state. But for those of you who are able to register voters online, you should definitely do so through this portal. We found in 2020 that 87% of folks who registered through us, through our portal, who received our reminders, turned out to vote. So please use that tool. And in that same vein, follow all guidance when registering voters and do not provide any incentives when registering to vote, no matter how small. If you are handing out stickers at your voter registration table, everyone gets a sticker, everyone gets a cookie. Whatever you're giving out, everyone gets one, whether they register to vote or not. And remember, you are not alone in this work. We have all the resources you need to get started. Like Cameron said, every single one of us is the right person to do this work. I have everything you need right here. Grab a pen and paper, let's write it down. Number one, you will download our free volunteer resources, from signage to flyers to our voter registration portal, and so much more at weall.vote/vol resources. Number two, you will use our voter registration tool to register voters at weall.vote/voter. And number three, you will report back to me and tell me how it all goes at weall.vote/reportback. Those are our resources. Let's go over our marching orders. Every single one of us on this call is going to sign up to register voters during the week of action at weall.vote/NVRW. Remember to include all event details. And remember, whether you are standing at a farmer's market and engaging with voters, or you are partnering with your place of worship and hosting a full-on voter registration drive with local businesses, no matter how big or how small, this work is for you, and you should sign it up at weall.vote/NVRW. Number two, check your voter registration status using our tool at weall.vote/voter. And number three, let us know how it goes at weall.vote/reportback. Thank you all so much for doing this training with me. I am so excited to see what you all come up with this fall, because remember, our communities are on the ballot, our friends, our family are on the ballot, our schools are on the ballot, and we are the promise and the product of all of those who came before us. It is on us to honor their sacrifice, to honor their good work by digging in, by getting involved. I cannot wait to see the change that every single one of you creates. And with that, I will pass it to our fearless leader, Ms. Stephanie Young.
Thank you, Arisa. We used to call Arisa our When We All Vote Care Bear, because we had so many digital or virtual rallies, and she always came in with such great energy. I'm in LA and the sun is setting, so I have a lot of different colors happening on my face, but wasn't this a good day? Because you got so much good information, and now you're ready to take action. So I'm here not just to close this out. Don't leave. This is not the end of the concert. You know, you try to get out. You don't even have to get into a car. You don't have to get into the parking lot to leave. So just sit tight, because I just want to reiterate a couple of things. One, we are nothing without you. Two, we need your help and we need your work. And if you don't remember anything tonight, if you don't do one thing tonight, just make sure that you remember that we need you to help us register voters around this country. We can't just rely on doing it, through our website, through social media, through celebrities. We need to do it with you, because you are the best person. So if you are representing an organization like my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, or any of the other Divine Nine organizations, or the Links, or the YMCA, or Jack and Jill, or just if you are a part of an organization and I didn't call y'all out, go ahead and put in the chat, because we can work with you directly with your organization to make sure that we give you the tools that Arisa just talked about so that you can sign up with us and be a part of our week of action. So if I could bring up the ramp up the vote slide, I just want to remind us where we are. We need you to take action, but where are we tonight? We just got our ramp up the vote on. We got our training. We got some inspiration so that we can prepare for our week of action. When is our week of action? This is a little bit of a quiz. Do you know when the week of action is? If you know the date that it starts or what it's around, put in the chat. I'll give you a few seconds. It's around National Voter Registration Day. It's going to be that entire week. We're going to kick things off on what day? September 18th. And when do we wrap it up? September 24th. And what do we want you to do? We want you to host voter registration events. And guess who will come and talk to you that week if you sign up to host an event? Our wonderful founder, Michelle Obama. So if you want to be on a call with her in September, make sure you sign up. Sign up right now today. If you have any confusion, email the team. We'll help you do it. Sign up to make sure that you are going to host an event with your organization, with your church, with your friends, with your family. It doesn't matter. We need you to do it, and we know that we can do it without you. After we get through that week and we register thousands of voters, applause, great job. We got people to check their status. We got people registered to vote. Now they're going to almost be ready to vote. So how do we get ready to vote? Well, we have a lot of tools and resources on our site, but most importantly, we're going to make sure that people feel inspired to go out to the polls. And how are we going to do that? We're going to host parties at the polls. That's early voting. So we're going to ramp up for early voting, and we're going to host parties at the polls. And then after that, that starts in October, basically. All of October, we're going to be hosting parties. You're going to be hosting parties. We're going to be right there with you. And we're going to take photos and videos, and it's going to be a party all over this country in celebration of protecting this democracy. Because we can't say it enough, democracy is on the ballot. And election day is on November 8th. Election day is the last day to vote, but we're going to get as many people as we can, thousands of people, to vote early. So we got a lot of work to do. We appreciate the fact that you are here with us. We love you, and we want to continue building our communities with you and building a community of people who want to do civic engagement work and want to make not just your community better, your state better, your city better, but you want to make this country better. And so we applaud you for your efforts. We thank you in advance for all the work that you're going to do. Make sure you're following us on all social platforms. Make sure you sign up, and let's get ready to work. We will be in touch with all of you. Thank you so much. Be safe, guys, and have a great Labor Day. Then let's get back to work. All right. Bye. Thank you, guys.